whether there was hand contact or not.
6, McKinnon.
Tough move by Oriental to come down and take on a guy like McKinnon, where you know he's got such good hops and quickness. Bold move.
Well, he was picked early in the match, Oriental, and that's his first point now of the game. So we said he had 16 last night in Sydney. He seems to be more aggressive in his second stint on the floor. Oh, and on the rebound, Garachi's got it above Anstey and has been fouled again. Third personal foul now on Chris Anstey. So problems for coach Barry Barnes. Chris Anstey will take a seat straight away. Just got too far under the basket on the rebound. Luke Longley gives some encouraging words of advice.
And one of those things you did not want to give up on a free throw is an offensive rebound, and then doubly cause havoc by fouling the guy on a shot. And now Canada's picked up 4 straight points to come back to within 4 with 4 minutes to go. A lot of 4s out there. Must be a lucky number.
Well, it's been a 14-2 scoring run, but the rock stopped by Martin Catalini on the nice feed for the back door and a comprehensive slam dunk basket.
Great combination there. Luke Longley to Catalini. 2 Perth boys.
Vassell takes on Catalini.
Ooh.
Anderson on the rebound again. CJ Bruton will get the foul. Well, Luke Longley helped out on the drive with Martin Catalini, allowing Richard Anderson to get that position for the rebound.
Oh, not a lot of contact in there. As you see, Luke Longley, it's a little bit pushed from behind, goes straight up for the foul, and I think Anderson with his left arm forced the contact, but misses the first of 2 free throws, so maybe justice prevails.
He gets the second one to drop. The difference is 5, 3.5 minutes to play in the first half. Oh, Bruton slipped over and he's picked. Ariental will take it to the basket and get the easy layup. Play halted while they wipe the sweat from the floor, and CJ Bruton just losing his footing, and that's 1-all from pickpocket plays. You see there a slip, might have been on the C7 side.
Herald Mighty Midgets. The Herald All-Stars were coached by Australian boomer in 1960, Mr. Terry Charlton. And the Herald Mighty Midgets.
Margin's just 3 now. The Boomers have led throughout this first half, but haven't been able to shake off what we know is a tenacious Canadian team with Melmoth. They call for the double dribble again, the Canadian bench. The Boomers swing the ball around. Catalini under tough pressure, as to his Melmoth, and he's walked there, the travel being forced. So the defensive pressure paying dividends for Canada.
Well, both teams go through this phase where they really crank the D up, make life difficult, and turnovers. Canada last night, after having 25 turnovers in game 1, held it down to 12 in game 2, and tonight they're keeping a lid on that fairly well.
Vassell, the nice feed down low to Anderson. Longley intimidated the shot, but comes out to Catalini. Boomers don't quite have the numbers. He goes to McKinnon down low, out to Longley at the corner of the free throw line. Garachi pulls in the rebound. Difference is 3, 2.5 minutes to play in the first half.
And those are the shots that Luke Longley likes to hit. That 15-footer on the elbow.
Vassell has been quiet to Ariental.
Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there.
Just 2 seconds on the 30-second shot. They're going to have to get a shot up. They don't. Great defense by the Australian Boomers.
A good job. We've seen that so often where the Canadians get down to the last 10 seconds. They wait for someone to make a good move, and with Barrett, Vassell, and Oriental in there, they got 3 guys that can operate, but the trigger got pulled a little late, and they could not get a good shot up.
It's been a good fight back by Canada. One stage it was 28-12, and it's back to a 3-point margin. Been very impressed, Bob Turner, with Jay Triano and his coaching. Very, very measured coach. He certainly has got his team focused on executing his game plans.
Well, a lot of experience, too. I mean, he's played 2 Olympic Games, as you say, Damien. He's played with you, against you, so often through the 80s. And then had a stint of coaching at Simon Fraser University, one of Canada's major basketball institutions. And then has now worked the last couple of years for the Vancouver Grizzlies on their play-by-play commentating team. So he's very versatile, but very good knowledge of the game. And you just like the way he handles himself and he handles his team. He's got these guys fired up. He keeps reminding them how important it is to play for your country. And he's going to have a tough task in a couple of weeks' time when they go to the qualifications for the Americas. And they have to go up against the likes of Cuba, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Brazil, the USA Dream Team, and only 2 teams get through. So, big task.
Well, the Boomers have found offense a little bit hard to come by, but Martin Catalini, the man on screen there, has certainly made his presence felt. He has 4 points on 2 of 3 shooting with Longley now. Canadian defense forcing the Boomers out. McKinnon from the baseline, no rebounders there on that shot. Probably not the best option at that time. You see a quick shot like that, Bob Turner, you like to have your big fellas underneath the basket. Luke Longley was out at the 3-point line.
Watch your arms now.
Oh.
Okay. Oh.
Karachi, tough work inside. A lot of green uniforms in there. Everybody rotated down well. But Karachi just tenacious when he gets around that basket.
Well, you've got 2 7-footers in there, Melmoth and Longley, as well as Catalini, who's a good athlete. But Karachi at just 6'9". He hustled better and timed his jumps better. Unlucky not to get that first shot to go.
Well, I said last night when we were at the Sydney Entertainment Center, he reminds me a lot of a guy that we played, or you played a lot with, Mark Dalton, who just had a way of creating space with that broad shoulders and big frame.
Second shot off target. Karachi now leads all scorers in the match with 7. 5 of those coming from the free throw line. Boomers have been ice cold over this last 8 minutes of this first half. One stage they were heading to at least 40 points. Ooh. They won't get that. Karachi swipes away the shot from Ben Melmoth.
Ben Melmoth so confident with that shot throughout his NBL career this year or season, and Karachi equal to the task.
Good defense by Luke Longley. Karachi had some space inside. A travel call by Bill Mildenhall. A gather step by Hennessy Ariental.
Coach Barry Barnes tries to get a little bit more offense injected into this last minute of play, bringing in Brett Maher for Martin Catalini. And the combination with C.J. Bruton, who still struggles a little bit to get the ball past half court.
Longley once again a long way from the basket. Nice give and go though with Ben Melmoth. Almost gets the layup to go, but was fouled en route to the basket. And we'll get 2 free throws. Longley yet to score in tonight's game. He's been a good focal point inside for the Boomers throughout this series, shooting 66% from the floor in the first 2 games. Probably warranting to see the ball a little bit more often. And he seems to have adopted the role as a passer on this team. The first shot rattles around the ring and decides to drop in. Extends the Boomer lead to 3.
That's the assist. I'll do the same to you.
The second one's way offline. Anderson pulls in the rebound, dishes it off to Ariental. Good trap by the Boomer defense. Longley got a leg in on the pass from Vassell. 30-second shot clock will reset with 36 seconds left on the game clock.
Baseline, we got a fresh 30.
The ball will come from the baseline. Canada show a box set. Screening was indecisive. The defense was good from the Boomers. Eventually they get the release to Karachi. Ariental looks up at the scoreboard. Sees how long he's got on the clock. They turn the ball over. It's with Barrett now, guarded by Maher. Vassell has been quiet in the first half. The defensive pressure from McGinnon was good. 3-on-2 opportunity here for the Boomers. Ma fakes the shot, takes it to the basket. Very soft call. A foul has been called against Rowan Barrett, and Brett Ma will go to the free throw line.
To the line, Australia. Number 5, Brett Ma.
Really forced the contact, Brett Ma. Canadians not happy with the call. 23 fouls called during this first half. 12 on the Australians, 11 on the Canadians. Chris Anstey, the only man in foul trouble. He has 3. There's a selection of players on 2 fouls, including Luke Longley. Ma knocks them both down. It's the Boomers by 5. 10 seconds now left of this first half. Vassell can't get the shot to go. Garachi's there for the rebound, but the shot clock goes, as does the time clock, and the Canadian coach there, Jay Triano, well, he must have been pleased with the comeback from the Canadians towards the end of that first half, but the Boomers did steady. And they will go into the break with a 5-point lead, 35-30. So at halftime, the Australian Boomers out by 5 points, 35-30, and Bob Turner has just caught up with Barry Barnes.
Well, Barry, another intense half of basketball.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating because we're still trying to find our rhythm, and you know when we just can't seem to get the offensive rhythm. You know, defense is working its tail off. But offensively, we're having too many flat patches in amongst some nice basketball. But we've just got to remain patient, and it'll come.
Well, the feature of the game really is, in all 3 games so far, is the intensity on the defensive end. Just very tough to get a good shot away.
Oh, it is. There's no doubt. But we came down that last 2 minutes just to go to a set. And I wouldn't say it was defensively, but we just couldn't get to what we wanted to get to. The guys were getting lost. But we'll persevere, and we'll just have to we'll bring it together.
And when you get out and run like you did in the first 5 minutes of the game, you really get that transition going, free-flowing shots. People feel a lot more comfortable out there.
You know, we spoke more about that. We're not getting enough transition baskets. We're not getting the lanes filled, and we're not pushing the ball up the floor. And that was something that we worked at, and we'll speak about it again at halftime. We've got to get the cheap bucket. We've got to run the ball and get those baskets.
Well, good luck in the second half. I know you want to get back in the locker room.
Thanks, Bobby. Thank you.
So Barry Barnes there. The Boomers a little bit more work ahead of them, but Bob Turner, that 5-point buffer, that's something that will please him.
Oh, no question. He feels like he's got a little bit of ascendancy in this first 20 minutes of play. A little bit nervous about the second 20, I'm sure, especially if you look at those stats. And again, the shooting percentages of both teams still very marginal, and the Boomers again not hitting any 3-point shots.
Yes, well, 37% for the Boomers, just 36% for Canada. As we said in commentary, the Boomers yet to get over 40% in this series, and they've been very cold from the 3-point line as well. And so too have Canada, just 2 of 7. The Boomers yet to hit 1 of 3 attempts. Rebounding's pretty even, as too are the turnovers and the assists. Let's go to the leading scorers in the match now. And Paul Rogers leads the Australians with 6, and Garachi leads Canada with 7. But really, Bob Turner, there's a big spread there, and that probably reflects the fact that there is not a single dominant scorer in this series so far.
That's right. Well, both coaches have been rotating their players so freely, and that's been a real feature of both teams in what they're trying to do, is get a lot of people on the floor. When you do that, it almost breaks up the momentum of what you're trying to get. You see the Boomers get out, and all of a sudden they're up by 8 or 10 points. Then they make a couple of substitutions. The momentum drops, and then all of a sudden you got to get it back again. And that's really difficult to do.
Well, you get the impression that it's going to be defense dictating the terms again in the second half, as it was in the first half here, as it has been in the whole series. We watched the Boomers here against Canada, and they did create that running game early, Bob Turner, with the defensive pressure and forcing Canada into mistakes.
Well, as Barry Barnes said, that's what they want to do in the second half, is to run a lot more. They feel they can get out and go. There's been 2 or 3 30-second calls, a couple of turnovers like that, which leads to those transition buckets. And when they get those, then they obviously have a chance to put them in the hole. So that's what they want to do.
Well, one man who is watching on intently for the Australian Boomers is an injured Shane Heal. We'll have a chat to him just after this break.
Let's hope so.
The Boomers and the Opals of the future are doing battle on the court here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. The Herald All-Stars against the Mighty Midgets. And, well, I'm sure he doesn't like being called a Mighty Midget, but he's with me now, Shane Heal, the injured point guard for the Australian Boomers. Well, Shane, I guess first off, how's the injury going?
Yeah, I just started practice the last 5 or 6 days and it's coming along pretty well, and I'm just trying to get a little bit of fitness and a bit of form back. So a bit disappointed I'm not playing in this series, but it's the way it goes.
Well, there was a lot of talk before this series that maybe Canada weren't going to be that competitive. That's not the case, is it?
Oh, definitely not. They're a well-coached team. You just see they're very well drilled and they're pushing the Australians out of the offence, and last night was a great game to watch, and tonight's proving to be the same. Well,
Jay Triano, the Canadian coach, he coached in college in Canada. They really play a little bit like an American college team, a lot different from the European-style basketball that the Boomers have played against in recent weeks.
Yeah, definitely a different style of basketball, but you can just tell they're very smart. The coach is obviously smart. They're double teaming. They're trying to push the Australians away from what our strengths are. And, you know, we haven't been shooting the ball so well, and they've been really collapsing in on the big fellas and putting a lot more pressure on them. So, you know, smart play, and, you know, I think we'll see the guys start to make a few more jump shots in the next couple of games.
Is it a concern for you involved with the Boomers, the fact that you and Andrew aren't part of the preparation here? Luke Longley and Chris Anstey are back with the team now, but really we haven't had our best team on the floor at all during this winter of world basketball.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge concern. I think it's probably more of a selection criteria right now. All the guys have got to prove themselves to try and get a spot on the Olympic team like we all do next year. And I think there's 26 games leading up to the Olympics, and it's going to be important for us to get together then, get to know each other again and gel, and, you know, hopefully get that medal that we're all aiming for.
Well, any news with your future next year in Europe? You had a one-year contract in Greece. Can you share with us, just us and the viewers, what you're going to be doing next year?
Yeah, I leave in about 5 weeks to go back to Athens. Near east of Athens is the team I'll be playing for again. We're playing in the European competition again this year, and you know, I'm looking forward to getting back and learning the European style of game, and hopefully have an injury-free year this year and keep on improving as a player.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you back in an Australian Boomers uniform, not in 1999, but certainly in 2000.
Yeah, thanks, Damien. I can't wait for the Olympics next year. It's going to be an honour to be able to represent our country in front of friends and family, so I hope I get to achieve that.
Yes, it will be a big occasion, as too will the second half of this contest. It's the Australian Boomers 35 over Canada 30. The second half just after this break. For the second half, it's 5 points to Australia, 35-30. And what will unfold in the second half, Bob Turner? We've seen Canada have been very impressive in the second half of both the first 2 games of this series.
Well, it's when they've really caught the momentum, and you almost get the Australians, when things are not going well, they kind of start thinking, well, second-guessing themselves. The shots don't just flow. They come off the hand almost like, should I be shooting this? And that's been a feature of their second half. So Canada with kind of a we have nothing to lose attitude, and the underdog is really helping them at the moment.
Well, also the pressure is mounting on the Australians as well, because they are expected to beat this team. And the pressure has been mounting. Martin Catalini on screen there got a beautiful feed from Luke Longley in that first half for a slam dunk. Here's another move, the running one-hander. Nothing but net. That's a show of class, Bob Turner.
No question. I think, as you said earlier, you know, the Australians were thinking that this was not a really talented Canadian team, although, as we found out last year when Canada toured Australia, they are a bunch of college, all playing professionally overseas in Europe. These guys know how to hoop it, and when they come out and play with a thing called Canada on their chest, it makes them step up a little bit. So they never had any thoughts that they were going to play anything but hard basketball. And when you do that and you have a bit of talent, usually things happen that go your way, and that's what's happening right now. They're playing with the enthusiasm and the effort, and the Australians having to match that.
They will have to match it indeed. We're about to get underway for the second half. Canada shows the same starting lineup that they began the game with. Barry Barnes just diagramming a few final offensive plays for his team.
The Australians look to start with the same lineup that they started this game with, that got out to such a good break and a good flow in the game. See if they can start the second half the same way.
Within Australia, taking on Canada.
Well, there's been several features of this series so far. One of them has been the tough defensive struggles, the difficulty in both teams getting some decent scores. As I said, the average is around 60 points per game for both teams. And no individual has really shone out offensively. No one from either team has got 20 points in a single outing. And perhaps for the Boomers, they need someone to step up and get hot and knock down some baskets. What's the call here? Well, David Werry has called that Ben Melmoth has lifted the elbow on the screen, and the offensive foul committed.
And once again, having played the point guard position, and you as well, Damien, when you're guarding someone the length of the court and you get picked off by a big man, it's just so frustrating when no one calls it, because you just get crunched.
Bruton on Ariental, wearing him like a second skin, as he has all series. Now it's with Meeks. Takes on Melmoth. Dish to Vassell wasn't very good. Jay Triano is not happy about that. Claps his hands, says, come on guys, we can do better than that. A fairly flat start from both teams. Boomers get through their offense. Look for McKinnon down low. It was a nice feed from Melmoth. McKinnon did well to control it. Catalini drives to the basket and gets the roll.
A good job by Martin Catalini. Put the head down and just got into the paint. And a nice little 5-foot finger roll.
Off the foot of CJ Bruton. Will be brought in by Canada. The lead now out to 7 from the Boomers. They would dearly love to get a double-figure break to try and close down this decisive third game. It sits at 1 game all. With Keith Vassell. McKinnon gets a hand on it, almost steals it. Bruton doing a good job on Ariental, forcing him out away from the basket. They relieve the pressure through Meeks. Now across to Barrett. Longley takes away the post-up option on Anderson, and McKinnon comes off to pick up the pass. Here comes the Boomers again. Oh, we've had a trouble called there by David Werry. Catalini cannot believe it.
Well, the defensive pressure of Australia in these first 2 play phases, very tough, making things difficult for Canada to get the ball moving. Just not able to capitalize on that occasion.
Well, Martin Catalini may not have been impressed by the call, but the replay certainly verified the call by David Werry. Change of pivot foots by Catalini was indeed a travel. Back with Canada now. Meeks for 3. Off target. Canada still yet to score. We've been going 2 minutes in this second half. Longley back out to Bruton. Looks to set the pick. Bruton back to Longley. Now to McKinnon. That was a little bit sloppy and it comes undone. Slam dunk there for Rowan Barrett. Gets the Canadian scoring underway in the second half. Ooh. Larry Endel has picked CJ Bruton again. They've been going tit for tat all game. Watch again on replay.
Well, CJ Bruton probably unfortunate or fortunate not to get an intentional foul called, because it'll be side ball, and it was a sure 2 for Oriental. So now the Canadians have to earn their points from an offensive set.
Well, it could have easily been called an intentional foul. Offensive foul called this time on Anderson. Big Richard Anderson moving on the screen.
Richard Anderson. Third person.
Well, an interesting call. Barry Barnes was giving a lot of stick to Billy Mildenhall. Billy told him that's enough. And then made a call.
Third personal foul on Richard Anderson. He will take a break. Peter Garachi coming in. Certainly Canada losing nothing in that substitution. Garachi 7 points in the first half. And it's heating up here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. It's been physical throughout this series. Well, you look at Meeks putting the body on Luke Longley down there, all over him. Now they get the ball to Longley. Go to work, Luke. Go to work. Take him on. That's what we want to see. The shot was slightly short, but Melmoth was there to clean it up. And Bruton almost steals the inbound pass.
And it's what you want to see a lot more, is to go into that low post with Luke Longley, to let him go for a little bit, see what the defense does to adjust. You know he has the skills and talent to get inside, and on that occasion it frees up Ben Melmoth, who comes flying in for the offensive tip.
So right, he draws so much defensive attention. Like to see him be more of a focal point in attack. Barrett gets Catalini in the air on the fake and knocks down the baseline jumper for 2 more.
I'd like to see Rowan Barrett do that quite often, quite a lot more. As he's got the talents to get in there, but he seems very content with doing it once every 4, 5, 6 plays.
Barrett, the first player in the game to double figures. He has 10. The pass from Longley to Catalini from 3-point territory was nice. And finally, the Australians get a 3-pointer to go down their first of the match.
Watch your arms, man. Watch your arms. His body's there. That's okay. I've got him. Down now.
Meeks and Longley.
The battles down low have been so aggressive, reminiscent of the NBA. The pass from Rowan Barrett was meant for Hennessy Ariental, and you can see on screen he's one of the shortest players on the court. Not sure what Jay Triano was doing there, whether he's writing a letter to his mum back in Canada, but he's jotting down some notes. He's obviously seen something he wants to remember at a timeout or a training session. McKinnon's invited the baseline. Once again, Catalini with space. Oh, all net. The quick shot release from 3-point territory, and Martin Catalini moves up to 12 points on the margins at 11.
Well, that's Martin Catalini when he played against Italy in the recent European tour. Hit a couple of threes. Oriental tries to reply. Can't get it, and Luke Longley, trying to keep Michael Meeks off the boards, picks up a foul.
13, Luke Longley.
So it'll be Canadian ball, and that's Luke Longley's 3rd personal foul.
Once again on replay, Ariental had a good look at the basket. He's been cold today. Longley was helping out, so his direct opponent had the inside position. Luke doesn't seem too concerned on the bench. Has a swig out of the water bottle. A little bit of a grin on his face. Rowan Barrett causing some concerns for the Boomer defense. He moves up to 12 points on 6 of 7 shooting. Melmoth was aggressive. The foul was before the shot. Will go against Peter Garaci. Ball to be brought in by the Boomers from the baseline.
And so often we see a couple of shots going down, the margin gets out to 7, 8, 9 or whatever, and the Australians get a lot more fluent.
Well, McKinnon tried the turnaround. It was wide. Canada comes up with the rebound. It's got physical in this second half. The stakes are high. The opportunity to take a 2-1 lead for one of these teams in the best of 5 series. Meeks for 3. Oh, Peter Garaci once again. He was there against Paul Rogers and Martin Catalini, but somehow got the hand free for the tip-in. Bruton puts on the accelerator, gets fouled taking the ball to the basket.
And Garaci just a handful around that basket area. He's not a great outside shooter, but C.J. Bruton gets the pick from Rogers, puts on the Jets and gets to the hole. Gets fouled in the act of shooting, so he'll go to the line for 2.
First one goes a few problems for Coach Barry Barnes with his tall timber. Now Melmoth, Longley and Anstey all on 3 personal fouls. The margin's at 9.
Bruton and Oriental almost look forward to guarding each other the length of the court. You can see their eyes. I want to steal.
Barrett once again takes on McKinnon. Now it's with Vassell. Yet to score in the match is Vassell, 0 from 6 from the floor, and he is one of their mainstays. It's on down low between Melmoth and Garaci again as well. Shot clock's ticking down. We're at 6 seconds. Oriental, the shot never looked like going. McKinnon pulls in the rebound. Bruton now. Oh! Pass had too much on it, but Melmoth was there to clean it up. Takes the ball to the basket and will draw the foul.
And once again, these outside shots from Canada not going down. And when they don't, they find themselves really struggling as Garachi fouls once, fouls twice. The second one was picked up and Melmoth will go to the line. But you just sense that when the shots are not dropping, as in the other two games, it just puts them in an ice cold hole. And Australia, if they can get their shots to go, can get on the flow.
Melmoth misses the first. He has 6 points. To go with these 3 fouls. Can't afford another one. Second shot is good. Canada struggling from 3-point territory. They're just 2 of 11 at 16%. Geordie McTavish has checked into the play, as too has Brett Maher. McKinnon on Barrett. Catalini and Vassell. The matchups have been enthralling. Pascal Fleury, the big 7-footer for Canada, is also back on the court. He's guarded by Paul Rogers. Vassell for 3. Just can't get it going today. 3-on-3. Maher pushes the ball down the court. Catalini with some space. Oh, left his feet, Brett Maher. That was dangerous, but McKinnon dragged in the pass. Boomers just not quite connecting on their screens. Rogers. Guarded by Fleury. He will put a move on here. Boom, there's a fake. For another one, nothing going. Catalini for 3. He's hit 2 this half. That one couldn't go. Barrett comes up with the ball. Rogers has gone everywhere. Down. Oh, there had to be a foul there. Players hit the deck again. It's all happening here in the second half of game 3.
Very intense stuff at both ends. As we said at the halftime break, baskets are very tough to come by. Good looks are tough to come by. And when the Canadians have the majority of their shots coming from 15 to 20 feet, it just puts them in a hole. As you see, Rogers comes down, gets knocked down to the ground there.
Lands solidly on that left elbow. A lot of pain for the big guy, and they need him because some foul trouble existing amongst the other tall timber for Australia.
And so often we see the Canadians just kind of hang around, keep it within striking distance.
Certainly no breathing space for Australia. Marta Vlahov, back to Catalini. Vlahov runs off the double screen, has a little bit of space, puts the ball on the floor. Nice aggressive move to draw the defence and dishes off to Melmoth. And the tip in, well, we'll credit that one to Andrew Vlahov, but maybe it was Rowan Barrett.
I'm sure Andrew Vlahov will say, that's mine.
Margins at 10, 50 to 40. Canada need a score here. Meeks has just 3 points, has been quiet for Canada. Francis may have to create something here as the 30-second clock goes down, makes some space, but didn't even get a look at the basket. Was lucky actually to hit the backboard. Vlahov grabs in the rebound.
And once again, this combination on the court for Canada struggles to get good looks or get good people that can get the open shot.
Maher drives aggressively and he's fouled, hits the deck again. Body sprawling everywhere here. No place for the faint-hearted, the Newcastle Entertainment Centre.
And we've got a timeout.
And Jay Triano realizes the offensive flow is not going the way it should, with about the last 5 exchanges in the offensive end for Canada. Only about 2 of them have had good shots, good high percentage shots allowed. So he wants to talk it over, execute maybe a different offensive set, and see if they can't get the thing flowing again.
First ticket out wins a singlet. It is Drum roll,
Well, it was a
please.
5-point margin at half-time, 35-30.
It's a green ticket,
And the
you
Boomers
are
have extended that lead now to 10 points, and much of the credit must go to Martin Catalini, who leads the Australian scorers. The only Australian in double figures. He has 12 points, and he has put down two very, very nice three-point shots in this second half. Gets it up quickly there, the quick shot release. Very impressive with the Adelaide 36ers. Forced his way into this Boomer squad. And really Bob Turner is pressing claims for a berth on that Olympic team next year.
Well, he and about 18 others, as Barry Barnes has a real tough selection process. He's got these 10 players on the court right now. He just has Bradkey, Tony Ronaldson back in waiting to pick up the series in Adelaide. Gaze, Heel, you know, and a truckload of other players that would love to be in Sydney 2000. So it's going to make life pretty tough, especially when you consider what's out on the court right now.
Catalina and Ma, teammates with the Adelaide 36ers. Catalina will bring the ball in. Ma runs off a double screen from Vlahov and Anstey. It comes out to Vlahov. Gives it back to Brett Ma. Calls for the fist, which is the high screen from Anstey, but the tenacious Canadian defence is just not allowing time for the Boomers to connect on their screens. Now Ma has some space on the baseline. Once again off target on that three-point shot. Anstey from just inside three-point territory. Good range for a big man.
That's what you like to see. Take the open J, knock it through. But McTavish and Marr really going at it at both ends of the floor.
Oh, Brett Maher has gone down in pain. And his opponent, Geordie McTavish, has knocked down the three-pointer. Well, I'm not sure what happened there, but Brett Maher is a tough customer. He is in a lot of pain on the floor. Barry Barnes walks out to see how he is. And it's bit of an altercation down this end of the court. Andrew Vlahov has obviously seen what's happened. We'll see if we can find it on replay. But Andrew Vlahov is not pleased at all. Brett Maher will go to the bench. Well, we saw a bit of fisticuffs in game one. Chris Anstey was sent from the court fighting Richard Anderson, and there doesn't seem any doubt about that. Brett Maher comes off the court and says to his teammates, he got a rabbit punch in the belly off the ball. The three-point shot, however, from Geordie McTavish will count. And the temperatures are rising.
Well, it's always interesting when you look at these two teams in the series the way it's been played so far. And people say all the time, well, it's just an exhibition game. And Canada does not look like it's an exhibition game, nor does Australia. These guys have really battled for 5 halves of basketball and now into their 6th.
Well, Bill Mildenhall senses that things are tightening up and calls a very soft foul. He calls another one. That's 2 in a row he's called. And I feel like actually saying to Bill, hey, let him play a little bit, Bill. Don't wreck the spectacle here. It's been a tough series. Don't change the goalposts right now. Vlahov down low, guarded by Barrett. Well, he played for the offensive foul, Barrett, and he sucked in Andrew Vlahov. No contact really whatsoever there. Very soft call again. Fouls galore now, Bob Turner.
Well, there's no question, and as we said, this series has been very heavily played and very solid to watch, and you just don't want it to be whistled too many calls. Let them just go.
Out with Francis, back with Barrett. Suspicion about Barrett that maybe he was the offender. Sent Brett Maher to the floor. Greg Francis pulls the trigger. CJ Bruton cleans up and takes the rebound. And the foul will go against the man who missed the shot there, Greg Francis.
Canada really struggling to get good looks, good shots. Almost a charge there from CJ. But Francis gets the call, so Pascal Fleury doing everything he can to get the rebound there. But as you see, Francis a little late on the call.
Canadians in foul problems. Their 8th team foul, so CJ Bruton gets 2 free throws. The first one astray. 7 points so far to CJ Bruton. Second one short. Very rarely do you see CJ missing 2 in a row. 80% plus shooter in the NBL this season with the Wollongong Hawks. It's back with Geordie McTavish. The Canadians trail by 9. We've got 10 minutes to play in game 3.
Holy dooly.
McTavish from a long way out. Vlahov pulls in the rebound. Off to Catalini. The defense gets back quickly. Vlahov sizes up his options. And we've got a foul off the ball once again. And this time, I suspect it will be on Pascal Fleury for pushing.
Well, it's a call that you could make. As you see, here comes Rogers to set the screen. Pascal says no way. And unfortunately, it's just not legal, Pascal.
Pascal heads to the bench. Paul Rogers heads to the free throw line. Second one's good. The margin out to 11. Booms extend the defensive pressure again. Shot clock already down to 15 seconds. Catalini's on McTavish. There's a mismatch somewhere. Jesse Young with the ball now. Meeks guarded by Rogers. Tries to create something. Greg Francis has to get the shot away. It's blocked by CJ Bruton. Some talk about whether or not the 30-second shot clock should be reset, and referee Bill Mildenhall says yes, it will. So good defense there from CJ Bruton. Jesse Young, guarded by Anstey, almost loses the handle. Pressure continues.
Great intimidation there by Chris Anstey, just all over Jesse Young. Every time he almost had the handle, there was Anstey right in his face. And that's the fourth personal foul for Chris Anstey. So as you said earlier, the fouls on the big fellas starting to mount.
Offensive foul called that time on Jesse Young. Anstey with good defensive position.
Ball on number 11, Jesse Young.
No question, the screens are getting a little tighter. You see Jesse Young puts the shoulder down, knocks Anstey out of the way. Good call by the officials.
Defensive pressure from Geordie McTavish once again on CJ Bruton. Relieves it through the post to Anstey. Back out to Bruton. The pass, however, to Rogers in the post was soft and taken out by Michael Meeks. Here comes Canada. They trail by 11. They need to start connecting on some outside shots. Well, how about this? Chris Anstey's guarding the point guard, Geordie McTavish. So McTavish says, well, I'm going to shoot it. Nowhere near the basket. Once again, they go for the three-point shot and off target.
Well, you'd almost think Catalini pulls the trigger. Gets the two off the transition. He's enjoyed that phase of the game tonight. But you almost get the impression that Canada needs to get some of their horses back in these last 8 minutes. They're going to make a game of this one.
Well, Catalini had the opportunity to start this game. He hadn't scored from the field in the previous 2 games. Francis gets it going now with the three-pointer for Canada. Just what the doctor ordered. It's back to a 10-point game.
Well, they've done that on so many occasions. When they need a clutch one to come down in the opening 2 games of this series, they've been able to produce.
Vlahov freed up Rogers with a good screen down low. Now Rogers goes to work. Dishes it to Vlahov. Anstey rebounds. Takes it back up. Nice tip in no by Paul Rogers. Great hustle by the big men from the Boomers.
Now some good board work there by Rogers.
Anstey hits the deck. His arms flailing. The rebound, however, goes to Meeks. He gets the friendly roll for 2 more to Canada.
Boy, it's tough stuff to try and get a bucket out there for both teams. Offensive execution has to be good.
Well, it's been the third game in 4 days, the second in less than 24 hours, but the intensity certainly hasn't dropped. Anstey gave the seal target inside. Rogers almost found him. It was batted away out of court. Boomer's ball, 18 seconds left on the 30-second shot clock.
Jesse Young has a handful trying to stay with Chris Anstey inside. That matchup right there again.
Oh, nice fake, Chris Anstey. Takes the ball to the basket strongly. The foul's been called. What a nice fake that was. And watch again on replay. Chris Anstey taking it there strongly.
First personal substitutions for Canada.
He really is a bit of an enigma at this stage of his development, Bob Turner, because he does so many things so well for a man his size. Look at that fake and move there. That'll get most players in the world, that one. And then at other times, he still just makes those little fundamental mistakes that you probably expect from a guy who hasn't really been playing basketball for that long.
That's right, and also I mean, you look at what he can do, and as a 7-footer, you see that shot come off his hand. He has just got a nice stroke action on his jump shot and on his free throws. Ball comes off sweet, and for a 7-footer, that's a real positive, and he's only 23, 24 years of age, so a lot of basketball left in his career.
Good knack of accumulating points to Chris Anstey. He's up to 7 now. Vlahov gets a good hand in defensively. The pass from Rogers to Catalini on the break was spectacular. And Catalini was fouled as he took the ball to the basket.
There's no question both teams are playing. You see Catalini comes in. Mavis, I'm sorry, just make sure he's not going to get two. He's going to earn them from the free throw stripe.
Well, could have been a dangerous foul, that one. Catalini was up in the air. He recovers well, though, from the free throw line. The first shot is good. Moves out to 15 points. Now 16, leads all scorers in the match. 6 from 8 from the field from Martin Catalini.
And again, a good tactic here by Barry Barnes to put the press on. Try and slow down the momentum of Canada. Take some seconds off the 30-second clock.
Another soft foul off the ball. This time Paul Rogers called. Holding foul down low.
Foul scored at number 15, Paul Rogers.
At the moment, it's hard for the big guys inside to know what you can and cannot do because the calls are kind of inconsistent as to what's legal.
Well, it's a challenge for the referees as well because as Mavis goes for a long three-pointer again, because it's been a particularly aggressive and physical style of game both teams have had to adopt in this series. With Rogers. Down low, guarded by Anderson. Gives it off to Anstey. Well, that was a long way off. Bruton cleaned up, however. Took it back quickly for the shot. Got another foul here, this time on Andrew Vlahov. He's not happy about it at all. Off the ball foul.
Andrew Vlahov not happy with the call, but Billy Mildenhall actually sees something, trying to explain why.
Vlahov not happy about that one whatsoever. Barry Barnes inquired referee Bill Mildenhall, what was that for? Said he threw the backhander.
Well, I'm sure both these teams will enjoy tomorrow where they do not have to play and they'll be in transition or transit to Adelaide for game 4 on Tuesday night. So get a good night's sleep tonight.
Catalini off to Anstey. Plenty of time and a look at the basket. And Chris Anstey is very, very impressive when he's facing the basket from 18 foot out.
And the key for Coach Barry Barnes as you head towards Sydney 2000 is to find a 12-man group and a rotation where everybody knows what they do well. And if they're not on their game, they find somebody else to find the part of their game that they can contribute. And that's what's happening tonight. Chris Anstey doing the job, feeling comfortable out there.
Greg Francis for 3. Well, that's an air ball by a mile. Peter Garachi cleans up, however, and gets an easy 2 points. Garachi in double figures now. He has 11. And Canada's three-point percentage is now 4 from 21.
Look out.
Beautiful finish there by Chris Anstey on the sharp pass from Andrew Vlahov. Extends the Australian lead to 14 with just under 5 minutes to play. And it looks like they will take a 2-1 lead into the fourth game in Adelaide on Tuesday night.
I think the execution of Canada right now from an offensive point of view is just a little stagnant, a lot of standing around, waiting for someone to do something with the basketball, and that probably has to come a little bit earlier in the play phase than later when it's desperation time. Well, Oriental had 15 points in game 2 in Sydney last night. He's got 4 on the mark right now. Just hitting 1 bucket from the field, the rest from the free throw line. So he and Vassell both struggling.
Oh, nice finish there by Hennessy Ariental. He picked the pocket of CJ Bruton for the 3rd time in this match. And Anstey was there to intimidate the shot, but he put it on the left hand and knocked it down. It's back to 10 points. Well, Canada getting a sniff at this one. Rogers down low, guarded by Meeks. Backs him in, turns around quickly. The contact was minimal and the foul called. And off the ball, Ariental hits the ground. Well, it's been like a football match this second half.
Well, they have the Newcastle Knights playing this afternoon. Probably had a little bit of a feeling as you see Vlahov and Oriental get tangled up. Meeks trying to defend Paul Rogers. Spin move. Quick call. And Rogers to the line for 2 shots. So Canada needing some quick points in these last 4 minutes of play.
They need to do something that they haven't been able to do at all in this match, and that is connect from three-point territory. That time, Greg Francis waltzes through some fairly average boomer defense for an easy 2 points. That won't please Coach Barry Barnes. Catalini under all sorts of pressure here. Now it's with Anstey. Andrew Vlahov directs play and says, give it to the point guard. Back to Anstey. Good scrap from Vlahov on the rebound. Bruton with plenty of time. No doubt about that one. CJ Bruton knocks down the open 15-footer. It's 11-point margin with 3 1/4 minutes left in this one.
Now, CJ Bruton, when he gets that open look, boy, he is just automatic money. As Paul Rogers knocks Meek to the ground, and he'll go to the line. As you see here, Rogers knocks Meeks down. I don't think there was a lot of play acting there. I think it was legit. As Barry Barnes calls for the timeout, his team leading by 11 points, and probably wants to make sure nothing happens in the last 3 minutes of play that will stop the Boomers from winning. They really need to get out and run these last 3 minutes, do what they've been doing to get the lead built up and stay at it.
Well, for the Australians, they certainly have had an injection of offense from the bench in this game. They've got 10 players suiting up, and it's such an even roster. And 34 of their 69 points have actually come from players who started on the bench, and that's not bad going in any basketball game, Bob.
Well, no question, but we looked at the game in the first couple of minutes of play, and what did we say? You know, in comes 8 and 9 players, and it's Vlahov and Anstey. So the talent so deep with the Australians, and you really see when the Canadians go to their bench and bring some of their players on, you still maintain that enthusiasm, but talent probably goes a little waning.
Well, I think a telling factor from today's game has been the ability of the Australians to get out and increase their tempo. There's what remains in the series, Game 4 and Game 5, Tuesday night in Adelaide at the Clipsal Powerhouse, and then wrapping it up on Wednesday night, the 23rd of June in Melbourne at the Glass House. Meeks puts down the first of 2 free throws. Margins at 10. Now to 9. Canada need to stop defensively.
Michael Meeks.
Well, once again, Oriental wearing Bruton like a glove.
Well, we had a mismatch down low. Andrew Vlahov guarded by Sean Swords, and Swords committed the foul off the ball. We've seen so many fouls off the board in this match, particularly the second half.
Well, Andrew Vlahov down the left block and or right block, I'm sorry. Luke Longley on the other side. So Chris Anstey had 2 guys to go to, both with a mismatch. Vlahov takes full advantage, converts his 1. And goes to the line for 2.
4 points now to the skipper, been slightly cold from the field, 1 of 5 at 20%. And just one of the worrying aspects for Coach Barry Barnes has been in the point guard position. CJ Bruton has had a fairly solid all-round game, but has given up 6 turnovers. That time he's called for the foul guarding Ariental. He will go to the free throw line, but seen him have his pocket picked on 3 occasions and turn the ball over on loose passes on another 3 occasions. And you go back to the Australian teams of the 80s, Bob Turner, and when a man called Phil Smythe was playing the point, very rarely was there a turnover.
Well, no question, he just had that uncanny knack and ability to protect the basketball. He knew when to push it, when to give it up. And I think, you know, sometimes players nowadays want to look good rather than just stay intense the whole time. And I think it's a feature of something that has to come back into the game, is the intensity level, which playing for Australia tends to do.
Another casual pass from CJ Bruton. It's batted out of bounds. Vlahov will bring it in, a box set. 2 high posts, 2 low. Bruton comes off a double screen. It's with him now. Relieves pressure through Longley, who's come back into the fray. Off to Vlahov. Now Catalini. 1 bounce, pulls up for the jump shot. Nothing but net for Martin Catalini.
Well, this game has really been Martin Catalini and Chris Anstey, the 2 players that have been very tough and very solid at the offensive end and defensive end for the Boomers.
Nice shot there from Wayne Smith for 3.
You know, 9 points now. They need to stop.
Longley finds Bruton on the baseline. Yeah, nice shot there. Credit the assist to the big fella Luke Longley. And every time that CJ Bruton has had a nice clear open look at the basket, he's knocked it down. He moves on to 12 points, 2nd leading scorer for the Australians. Garachi was left unattended inside for an easy 2 points.
Well, Anstey trying to deny position to Garachi. Gets Anstey down on the ground. He gets the 2.
Vlahov worked strong underneath and drew the foul. Once again, Longley directing play with the pass.
Number 13, Peter Garachi.
He just makes playing so much fun when you see when he's on the court. Is the 4th foul to Garachi now. But so much fun when he gets the ball in his hands and you get yourself open or get a cut, he'll get it to you. As Garachi, I think, seems like he's got a little bit of a groin pull. He's been injured. He's had a bad hip and missed game 1. Played so well in game 2 last night in Sydney, and has done a pretty efficient job here in game 3. But we just hope he doesn't get too injured and misses game 4 and 5.
Vlahov looking to extend the lead to 12. He does that.
substitution. Matt Nielsen in for
And we'll take a breather as Matt Nielsen checks back into the game. Canadian coach Jay Triano, well, he's got his game face on. He's looked the same throughout the series. Not giving too much away, but he's slightly disappointed with the performance today. The Canadians just haven't been able to get it together from the three-point line. Oh. And the battle continues between the point guards, and that time the honours going with CJ Bruton as he draws the charging foul on Hennessy Ariental.
Well, it's an interesting call. Contact was made. Could really have gone either way.
Ma to Melmoth to Bruton for three. Wow. Take that, Ariental, and CJ Bruton has found his range in the second half. Moves up to 15 points now.
1 minute.
Just 3 behind the 18 of Catalini. Now, Ariental, well, he hits 3. They might as well be playing one-on-one. Under the basket.
And Melmoth and Meeks showing that there might be only a minute to play and we're down 12, but nothing changes.
I don't think I've ever seen a half of basketball where so many bodies have hit the court and hit it hard. Nothing's been easy.
That was on 9 white for push. That 2.
Foul on Rowan Barrett. Off the ball on Matt Nielsen. They exchanged a couple of friendly words after the incident as well.
I think they've been exchanging friendly words for about 3 days. Every time they see each other in the bus, breakfast, and especially when they get on the court.
1 to go.
Been a lot of free throws shot by both teams in this match. The Australians 26 of 33 at 76% as Greg Francis weaves his way through the Boomer defence. Karachi works well under the basket and Meeks cleans it up for 2 points. Transition is quick and Nielsen, oh, he loses the handle. It was going to be spectacular. Marr almost falls out of court. Comes to Bruton. Another 3 for CJ Bruton. Well, he is hot and wants the ball.
Well, CJ finally says, well, if we're up a lot of points, I might as well fire it up and get ready for game 4 and get my rhythm going.
Ariental tries another 3. That's no good. Clock ticks down the balls with Brett Marr. Gives it underneath to Matt Nielsen for the easiest of baskets. And that will count.
Another tough game. Game number 3.
In the end, the Boomers have escaped with a 16-point thing, and it's on down here as well. Players erupted. Didn't quite see what happened there, but tempers have frayed. The players are going at it. Matt Nielsen's in there. Sean Swords hit the deck. Well, controversial finish to game 3 here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. It threatened to erupt during the game.
And we have Sean Swartz still on the floor down here right in front of us. He's still down. Matty Nielsen, and he exchanged something. I'm not quite sure. But no question, people are a little bit emotional right now.
Well, they need to clear the court and clear it quickly because it's still threatening to erupt here. It simmered throughout this series. Brett Marr went down in the second half. Seemed to be a cheap shot. And obviously the Australian Boomers didn't appreciate it. Sean Swords is still down.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 1999.
Well, game 4 and game 5. Stay tuned next Tuesday and Wednesday because these teams will continue to do battle and the temperature is definitely rising.
And Jay Triano still not a happy camper here. He wants to have words with Coach Barry Barnes and try and sort this out, or Brett Brown right now, as game 4 in Adelaide on Tuesday is sure to have plenty of fireworks, as this series has had in the first 3 games. And of course, that'll be live here on C7 Sport, 7:30 on Tuesday. Be ready for that one.
Well, Sean Swords is up and he's moving off the court. We'll be back to wrap up this match. Once again, the Boomers 85, Canada 71.